Episode 34.
Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Finance Podcast, your training resource for being a happy, healthy, and wealthy dad.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I wanted to talk today about a flip phone experiment that I started in February, and it was supposed to be 60 days, but I still have it, and so it's about to be July. So I've exceeded the 60 days, and obviously it's not so bad that I wanted to get rid of it. And I want to talk a little bit about the journey of how I went from, I would say, a typical smartphone user on my phone probably too much to even wanting to try or thinking about trying the flip phone. And I'll be honest, I didn't think the flip phone, or I didn't know if it was going to be feasible or just kind of absurd, and not really a real option. But I wanted to try it either way. I had an opportunity to try it where I didn't have to be so tied to my phone for work if the emails didn't work or something weird happens. And I was in a mood to kind of not text so much and everything. And so I wanted to try it out while I could. So that's what I did. I would say in the beginning, I was conditioned to be a heavy smartphone user because of work, because I was managing jobs that were taking place at all times during the day. And so at any time during the day or night even, I could be getting a phone call or an email that was really important that I need to look at and respond to, because I might have employees actively on a project. So, I need to respond so they're not sitting around doing nothing. So that's kind of how it started and why I was on a smartphone probably more than I needed to be. And then to compound that, I started this fatherhood brand, which is on Instagram. And I also have another business that's on Instagram. And my wife has a business that's on Instagram. And so that kind of also, the X factor, I guess, that I might have that most of you wouldn't have would be I was trying to grow that account and work aggressively and learn Instagram, learn how to play that game. So I was on there a lot. In the beginning, what I wanted to do was just reduce phone time a little bit. And some of the tips I would suggest for you that worked great for me that I really enjoyed was my first step was phone-free dinners. And so I would leave the phone across the kitchen, usually on our little island, face down with the volume off where I couldn't hear it ding and I wouldn't check it. And that helped a lot, and that was a great start. And kind of like working out where progress gets you results, and then those results kind of inspire more effort. So I was getting results, and I liked the feeling of having phone-free dinners and being a little disconnected. And so because of that, I pushed and tried to do some more things. And so after that, I did phone-free playtime, which means when I'm laying with the kids in the floor playing Hot Wheels or in the backyard or whatever, I'm just going to leave the phone in the kitchen or somewhere out of sight. And so I did that. Another step I took was we bought some clocks to put around the house, because I recognized that one of the main ways or reasons we touch our phone is to check our time. We click it and pull it out of our pocket, click it, and see what time it is. And so we bought a couple clocks and put them around the house. And I also started wearing a watch, something I really haven't ever done. I probably did it as a kid, and I've tried to like watches here and there, but I never really took to it. And so I bought a little, what is this thing? Armatron. It's really fancy. I think it was $25 or $20 or something. So that also removed another reason to touch my phone, which was great. And then a next level thing that I still do, even though I have the flip phone, is I'm doing where you sleep away from your phone. So I'm using my watch as my alarm clock, or you could use an actual alarm clock and then have your phone charging somewhere else away from you. And the thing I like about this is it makes it where the phone's not the last thing I touch at night, and then it's also not the first thing I touch. So it's kind of nice because I can get up and be a guy who's waking up for 10 or 20 minutes without a phone and not see the phone, not see the notifications. And that's important now, even that I'm still using the flip phone. It's still important because I still have notifications. It still has email. So those are all the steps I can think about right now that I took. But all that was over time. That was probably over a year. The hardest one, oddly, I think after the initial flip phone or the phone-free dinners, that one was kind of tough at first because I was just thinking of all the emails I was missing, really, or the maybe work calls or something. After that, they all got progressively easier until the sleep away from your phone. That was another kind of a step that was pretty drastic, I thought. For some reason, it felt that way. And I don't know why that is, but I think it's because you're laying in bed and then across the room or in a different room, you just think that your phone is going off right now. And oh my goodness, imagine the text messages I'm missing right now, or the emails. And really, what are we missing? Like hilarious cat gifs or videos, whatever. It's kind of a weird apprehension that I really did have, but obviously now it's gone away because I've been doing it for a long time. So those are all my, I would say, phone reduction tips you should try out. I would start with maybe getting a couple clocks, do the phone-free dinners, maybe upgrade to a playtime. One thing I like to do, I forgot to mention, was just leave my phone totally at home if we're going out with a family and my wife has her phone, so at least we have some phone for safety and, to call if we break down or something. Then her phone is in the diaper bag or a purse or something, and I don't even have a phone at all, which is great. So that you can do that, wear a watch, and then when you're man enough, you can sleep away from your phone. Which is nice, right? Your wife should be the last person you're talking to or touching, not your phone, right? So those are all the techniques. And so I did all that, and that was going well. So the question might be, well, why'd you go try a flip phone out? It seems a little drastic. And it is. And so the reason I still wanted to try it was because I got where I was only working on Instagram. I call it work because I was really treating it like a business. I would work in the afternoon, I think from 1 to 1:30 or 1 to 2. I would have like an Instagram block where I did all my posting and any comments and all that. And what I noticed was I was in a great spot, and then 3 months later, I noticed that I had randomly somehow started checking my Instagram again. In the morning, I would do a quick check, usually sometime, and maybe again when I have my snack. I have a snack at like 9:30 or 10 every morning. And then again, sometime in the afternoon, I would randomly check when I wasn't supposed to. And it was like these small... what would you call it? Non-thinking, like subconscious checks where somehow I would just click and look at my phone, pull it out of my pocket and look at it and click the button and see if I had any notifications. And really what's obviously happening there is I was getting dopamine hits, right? And my brain wasn't even thinking about it. It was just, hey, let's get a quick dopamine hit and I'll have some likes and some comments. And without thinking of it, that's what's happening, right? And so at that time, I thought, it's like, wow, 3 months ago, I was great. I was doing all these steps. Now I have this battle again, and I'm not great. And I remember reading in Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, that willpower is basically finite. So if I'm making choices or if I'm having to fight this phone battle every day for the rest of my life, then I've got less willpower left to fight another battle, like maybe diet or exercise or extra patience working with the kids, whatever it is. And so for me, I was trying to find an ultimate solution because I didn't want to have to backtrack every 3 stinking months. An easier solution would be, or could be, to just delete all apps. So that's definitely an option if you want to think about that. For me, I wouldn't call it an option at this time because I'm using those accounts for business reasons. And especially my business one, not necessarily even this one, but my other one, SR Fit Bands, that one's generating money that helps pay us. And so I need to still make that work, right? So my special exception that might be unique to me is that I couldn't just delete Instagram, which might be a good option for some of you if you wanted to, or I have a friend that just deleted Facebook. There's a solution there. Another solution I like that if you thought the flip phone thing was maybe too restrictive, another solution is basically a 2-device system. And I thought about doing this, but I wanted to just go all out and try the flip phone. But the 2-device system would be where I keep my iPhone or smartphone, whatever you have, and you delete all the distracting apps off of it. And then that's your phone plus navigation plus, browser if you need it while you're out and stuff like that. And then you would use your maybe tablet, or if you had an iPod or something, another one, as your maybe distracting device or fun device, whatever you want to call it. And on that one, you could have YouTube, social media, a fun game, and do all that. And so that's definitely an option I like because it's similar to what I'm doing actually, but it's an option I like because then when you want to be distracted, you can make that conscious decision to pick up your other device or take it with you to the couch or whatever. And then, it's kind of like you're signing off mentally, like, okay, I'm going to mess around right now and it's not going to be productive, but I'm accepting that and that's fine, right? Which is fine. that's similar to what I'm doing now, but I'm doing it with a flip phone, and then my fun, distracting device, whatever you can call it, is my deactivated iPhone. So I still take that to the gym if I need to take pictures, and I listen to Pandora while I work out. And then if I need to post on Instagram or whatever, that's what I use. But the only time it really leaves my desk is to go to the gym. Otherwise, it's at my desk, maybe in the drawer, maybe not. But there's really not much for me to do on it. So I don't pick it up unless I'm making the decision to work on Instagram, or I shave my head. So sometimes I'll take it to the sink and watch a video while I shave my head. I'm just trying to give you that idea of what the 2-device system looks like, which I really like because, you think about it, over the last 10, 20 years, we've been combining everything into one device. But really what I would really like is, let's back up and make it separate maybe the fun things with what we actually need. And that way we can segment our lives a little bit. So when we're with the kids, there's no chance of being, or less of a chance of being distracted by Instagram or something that's really just not that important. Okay, I want to talk about the flip phone kind of specifics and how good or bad is this thing really, and we'll get into that. So the one thing I'll say, the flip phone I'm using, someone made fun of me on Instagram, or they just questioned me, right, on a flip phone post, because they said, "I bet you drive a new car," is what they said. And I think their analogy, their subtle analogy is that, why would you use an old phone if you don't have an old car? Which, it's funny because I drive a 2003 Explorer Sport. It was my wife's car in high school, and I don't like it. But it was funny because I do drive a pretty old car. Don't worry, I'm saving up for the 2020 Ford Bronco. I just mentioned that to say it's not an old phone, actually. It came out last year. It's an LTE phone. The one I'm using is the LG Exalt LTE. And it's pretty neat. It can do email, mobile hotspot. So if you had a laptop, you could LTE hotspot to the laptop. Texting is pretty good for a flip phone. You still have the keypad functionality, so you're a little slow. But it does things like, if someone sends you a YouTube link, you can click on it and open it and watch it if you want it. Or if they sent you a GIF, you will see it. If they sent you an image, you'll see it. Video, you'll see it. Anything like that. So it's pretty good, and does group text messaging, which reminds me, don't just pull a phone out of your drawer from 10 years ago and try to use it, because you won't have group text messaging. That's the main problem. I tried that, and if you get a text message in a group of 5 people, you're going to receive 5 messages. If one person sends it, that's, if I remember correctly, and you get it from each 5 person, which is no good, right? Group messages are kind of, I would call them mandatory in a phone. So you're going to have to buy a newer phone. There's a couple options. The camera is pretty good but slow. So I can take a picture and send it to someone with an iPhone, and they will be shocked that it came from a flip phone because it looks pretty good. But that's only if you don't have any movement while you take the picture. So sometimes that's tricky with my toddlers, because I try to snap a picture and there's a 1-second delay, and if they move, kind of like old phone problems. It's not really much better, sadly. The video is pretty bad, if I'm honest. You can definitely tell it's a flip phone when you send it. So just don't expect to be taking any nice videos. I've actually stopped taking videos altogether because I just don't think I would do anything with them. And I guess that reminds me, with the camera's a little worse, obviously, but I've actually been meaning to take less pictures, so it's actually consistent with that goal, because that sounds crazy to take less pictures, but as a dad, you probably know how it is, right? You can have an afternoon, and if you and your wife both have a smartphone and have them handy, you could both take 25 pictures easily, and then you've got 50 pictures, and you're never going to do anything with them, if we're honest, right? Maybe 2 of those pictures make the cut and get printed or end up somewhere else, but the rest of them are going to die on a hard drive somewhere probably. So I'm just trying to be a little more thoughtful with pictures and take fewer but maybe better moment, ones that I would actually keep or maybe hang or something. I guess I'll touch on email. It does have email, and it works pretty much fine. I don't have any problem with it. I guess just like with texting, your response time is going to be a little bit slower. Voicemail is not great, because I don't know if you remember this, it's just like the old days where you had to press 1 or something and you would call a number and it'll read off your voicemail. And so it works fine, I guess, but it's called visual voicemail. Visual voicemail on a smartphone is just so much better because you can see, oh, I have a message from Sally and Bob and Joe, and I don't even want to talk to Joe because I already talked to him or whatever, and so you can just delete it right there. It's pretty painful because you have to just go through and listen through all the messages, and mine's full right now, and I'm actually leaving it full on purpose. I might have to clear it out sometime, but right now you can't leave me a voicemail, and that's fine with me. Google Maps. So oddly, you can go to Google Maps through the browser. You can go to googlemaps.com and you can search for a place and find it. And so if you remember, if I search for Moe's Southwest Grill, if you have that, or Taco Bell, it'll show you the map and all the pins around you. And so it works good for seeing, where's the closest Taco Bell or whatever. And you can click the one and do directions, and it'll show you the little blue line, but it'll only tell you the first 3 or 4 steps of the journey. It won't do turn by turn. So that's kind of a problem for navigation. So you'll have a general idea, but you won't really know turn by turn if you need that. Because of this, I've been driving more places lately by memory, and which is probably good overall. If I'm honest, I should probably learn the roads around here a little better. So that's fine. I think the navigation will probably be a showstopper for a lot of people. I will say on the next vehicle I get, which is going to be the Bronco, and me and my wife, I think, will get her a vehicle next year. I'm going to start getting navigation on the vehicles, which has been something I haven't cared about because of smartphones, but I think now I like the idea of maybe my car being a little smarter, and I just plug it in there, and then what's on me being a little dumber / less distracting. I think the Google Maps thing, if that was fixed, that would be a big help to the phone. There is another phone I'm looking at trying just for fun that it looks like it might do Google Maps better than this phone does, but it's another flip phone from Verizon, so I'll have to check that out. There is VZ Navigator for Verizon phones, but I think it's $4.99 a month. I don't really consider that a plan. I guess it could be if you're in a jam and you're lost somewhere and you're willing to pay the $5. The flashlight is actually something I missed. This phone doesn't have a flashlight, which is a bummer. They should have that. That's more than most things. That was surprisingly one thing I noticed not having available. And so you try to do the old flip phone thing, if you remember, where you open it and try to use the screen, and it's hilarious. Music streaming, Pandora, any of that, I could not get any of that to work. You can go to the URL, and it kind of seems like it wants to work, but nothing ever happens. I mentioned this, YouTube does work, which is kind of hilarious. Just the thought of that working on a flip phone is funny to me. Podcasts, so there's not going to be any podcast apps, which I thought was the end of the story, but actually you can listen to podcasts if you go to the browser and search to whatever the podcast is name, the URL, and then just stream through their website, which is, every podcast I know lets you stream through their website. So surprisingly, you can actually listen to podcasts. The downside is you're going to be using data. These do have Wi-Fi, so if you're on Wi-Fi, you're good, but if you're driving or something, you would be using your LTE. Okay, that's all the technical or more specific details I have on the flip phone that I wanted to share. So you're probably wondering, is it as good as a smartphone? Is it as easy to use, whatever? Is it doable? It's definitely worse, but that's kind of the point, right? The thing I like about it is that it's good enough to get anything done that I need to do, because I can email, I can do mobile hotspot to my laptop, I can YouTube if I wanted, text, I can look at GIFs. You can actually send them, but it's just hard to do. And so you can do all these things, but it's just harder and takes more time, so I'm less likely to do them, or if I do them, I just, try to make the best of my time and do it. I would say if you're traveling a lot, I would probably stick to a smartphone if I was you, and I don't have any problem suggesting that, just because you'd have the better maps. You're at hotels, and maybe you want to stream Netflix on your phone and whatever, or FaceTime your kids, and all that's perfectly good. I think you've kind of got a good excuse there to stick with a smartphone. If you're home every night, at 6 or 7 o'clock with your kids, and you just drive to the same building for work and go home, and then I think it's maybe more of an option for you to consider, because you don't have to be as good in communicating with people that aren't around you, because you're not out of state or anything like that. And that's kind of what I think is maybe the qualifier for if this works for you or not. It's like if you're around your family and kids a lot, then it's something you can consider because it's going to improve your time, your physical time with your kids. But if you're not and you need, better texting to send better videos, look at better videos from your family while you're away, then I would recommend a smartphone. So that's kind of the criteria. If you're around your family a lot or if you're not, I think that's one good marker to judge against. But before you try any of that, you probably need to just try some of the phone time reduction techniques that I mentioned and just start with that, because it's kind of a journey and you need to pick up steam as you go and see what works for you and your family. But me and my wife have both been doing this in terms of reducing phone time, and it's been really great because this has probably happened to you, and it's one of my big pet peeves of when we're both sitting on the bed and we're both on our phones and scrolling anything, right? Facebook, Instagram, some website. What a dumb, stupid waste of time, right? It's like we're living this life together. We got married and we're sitting on a bed together, not even talking. And we're both, I heard someone call it spinning the wheels or something, like, you're just sitting there thumbing right through your phone. What a stupid waste of time. You're checking in on what everyone's doing. I don't know. Just think about that in your life and you'll start to see it a little more. I mean, digital addiction's a strong word, but it's definitely a real thing. It's just of varying degrees. And thing to keep in mind, I don't want to make this about social media exactly, but the thing to keep in mind is that social media and really any app you own, they are incentivized to keep you on there as much as possible. That's their incentive. That's what they're trying to do, is keep you on there. They don't want you to be a healthy adult with healthy habits and spending a lot of quality time with your family. That's not the goal. It sounds absurd. Why is that not their goal, right? But they don't care about that. What they're incentivized for is really increasing value for the shareholders, I guess you would say, because a company like Facebook is now public. And so how do they do that? Well, they need to deliver more revenue. How do they get more ad spend? Well, they need more of your attention so they can sell it to someone, a business, who is going to pay for that ad to get in front of your eyeballs. Maybe you'll click on it, maybe you won't. And so just keep that in mind. That's their incentive. If you want to do a little bit of a self-study, which I think is a really good idea, maybe just Google social media addiction, or there's a few Facebook ex-employees that have come out against how basically the algorithm works, trying to feed you the dopamine and keep you on there to get your attention and sell that attention. So there's a lot of things for you to look at. Don't just listen to me, and because I've probably been learning about this maybe for 2 years now. It started when Ben Halpert was on the show, and we talked about digital addiction in kids and toddlers. And that's how I got interested, because I have toddlers. So I said, how do I make sure they're healthy? And then it kind of transitioned to, I thought a good place for them to start was for me to start setting a better example. And so that's kind of how this all started for me. Feel free to shoot me an email, Seth@fatherhoodfitnessfinance.com, if you have any questions about phone specifics or anything. And yeah, I hope I answered some questions, and maybe by me taking this flip phone experiment challenge, you at least know that maybe it's not a good fit for you and it can save you some money. Because it's funny, I spent money to change to a flip phone, which is kind of counterintuitive, right, from an iPhone. So hopefully I saved you some money or some time or something by trying this out. I think I'm sticking with the flip phone for maybe ever. And we'll just see how it goes. I wish it was a little better and a GPS, although I think the other one I'm going to try might be better at Google Maps. So I'm going to try out another one. And well, thanks so much for sticking around, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Fatherhood Fitness Finance Podcast. You can find us at fatherhoodfitnessfinance.com.